let's get started. My name is Dimitris. I'm working at Red Hat. It's been a long time now, 20 years. And 15 years I was coding, developing, leading, or running the JBoss team. And the last 5 years I'm running the Quarkus team. I'm curious, who has heard of Quarkus? Excellent. Are you using it also? Okay, we have some. So very quickly, for the rest of you, Quarkus is a Kubernetes native stack for Java applications. We designed Quarkus to optimize Java for cloud and Kubernetes. So the basic thing with Quarkus is it lets you run like smaller apps faster and lots of programming APIs to choose from and be productive. And it offers like a great developer experience. But today, I'm not going to talk about like Quarkus in general, but I'm going to talk about movies. So do you know this movie? Nobody? Jesus Christ, you're young. So this movie is the reason I'm here today, because when I saw the movie, like back at the time, I was like a kid, and I was impressed because this kid, and he uses a computer and a modem to log into the Pentagon computer, and he thinks he's playing a simulation, like shall we play a game, and he's about to start a nuclear war. It's a very nice movie, and it was very inspiring to me. Like it made me want to start with computers, home computers, and then study, worked for it, and there was intelligence in this computer, so that was fascinating to me. But then for the next 30 years, I discovered that computers were very dumb. Like there was very little intelligence, or at least AI never delivered something impressive, right? And for the most part, in this initial period, when you talked about AI, that was like science fiction, Schwarzenegger and Odyssey 2000. But there were interesting things happening the last 15 years, probably. And some people didn't notice, but I'm sure you've seen lots of that. Atlas, self-driving taxis, computers beating humans. For me, the most interesting thing was like AlphaGo, this algorithm that beat the best Go player in the world back in 2016. And even more interesting, right after they created AlphaZero-Go, starting with zero knowledge, the thing managed to play on its own, and within 3 days, it beat AlphaGo that beat the best player in the world. And they repeated the experiment with chess, and in 4 hours, it trained itself better than any other chess program ever written. So that was impressive. That as well the transformer algorithm, whose results we see today. And of course, things got crazy like in 2022 with generative AI, where the power of generative AI is, to seem creative and also like in the hands of everyone. Now everyone uses ChatGPT and all those things. So we're living in a different era. Now, what do I care about this stuff? This is for data scientists. Is there any data scientists here? No. For us developers, this stuff is really just an API. I have my API wherever it's running, Google, OpenAI, or local your computer, and I call it, and something smart happens. But this API has two characteristics. It's completely stateless. It doesn't remember anything. When you have a discussion with ChatGPT, there's a middleware that repeats all the discussion up to that point. It resends everything, right? And then this API is non-deterministic. I send something, I get a reply. If I ask the same thing, I might get something different. So I have to deal with this complexity somehow. It's just an API, as I said. And in Quarkus, what we do is we integrated with this library called LangChain4j. Have you used LangChain, maybe? Yes. So LangChain4j is like a clean room implementation of the LangChain concept in Java. It's from the start, and with some other inspiration. And we have that in Quarkus, very nicely integrated. And I'll just switch to code. I'd rather show you, how this whole thing works. So let's see. Maybe do that. Yeah. So when you start with Quarkus, you go to the website. Everything is there. You can say, I want to start coding. I I'm going to do everything live here through my phone. I hope it works. So in Quarkus, the way you have a type of initializer. So you can choose which components you want. I'll do a web application so I can have something to call. And then when you want to do like AI, you can filter for LangChain. And then you get a series of extensions. Extensions are normally two things. Either some model provider like Google or OpenAI or Hugging Face, or normally some vector stores. Vector stores are very popular with AI when you want to do proximity search, whatever. So for this example, I'll go with the popular one. I'll just choose LangChain, OpenAI. I'll generate an application, download it locally, and then I can go there and just unzip it. Unzip. So I have this example application. Let's cd there, go with Quarkus, and just start coding. So the way you work with Quarkus is normally you start a terminal here, your ID. And we have a CLI, but you can also use just Maven. Quarkus dev. Quarkus has this special developer mode that compiles and runs the server in the background and can help you with your development. It tries to guess what you are doing so you can do things fast and nice. So Quarkus now is running the background. This is like a terminal. I can press, let's say, W, and it gets me to my server. So the server is running. I connect to it. I get this default page. And when I'm in development mode, I have extra things. So I have this nice development UI. So basically, I can see here the different components that make up my application. So I chose to write a web application with AI capability. The rest are dependencies. Now, the cool thing is I chose those things, and in my environment, I have set up an API key for OpenAI. So Quarkus can already function by default. So you can see here, I have like the components. I chose the OpenAI API. And within this interface, I can go and just start experimenting. Like, I can already try prompts. So let's say I want to generate a Java developer in Zurich station. And for fun, I'll choose and a cat. Yeah, why not? And I can ask, make me an image. So let's see what it does. Hope it works. Yes. Right, so this is ChatGPT replying. Everything is set up for me, right? His neck is a bit offset, but anyway, you get the idea. And in this sample application, there's already some code generated for me. So I don't know how proficient you are with Java, but this is like plain standard Java. You can see here from the imports, there's nothing Quarkus specific, right? And it just implements like a simple REST API. So if I go here and I call this API, hello, I get back, this reply. Now, if you never use Quarkus, in Quarkus you can do nice things like, change my code, save, go back, refresh, and the change is there. So Quarkus recompiles everything in the background, restarts the server. This is compiled Java. That's not JavaScript or anything. And immediately you can see the change. So, all right, so let's start to make this more interesting. The way we've chosen to integrate this in Quarkus, I'll show you. I'll make a new interface. There's a pattern in Java with a REST client. I'll show you here. Great. So I'm asking Quarkus to create an implementation for this interface using whatever AI extension I have configured, which is OpenAI, right? Now, how it will know what this method is going to do, I need to provide this with an annotation. So that will be essentially my prompt. So what this will do is we'll implement this interface, pass it on to ChatGPT, and pass this message as a prompt. So to use this, I can go back to my REST endpoint, inject an implementation of this, and just call it here. So that's all I need to do. So if I go back and call hello again. So what happens now is I sent this prompt to ChatGPT, hello from Quarkus, and that's the reply. So that's ChatGPT replying, goes to my phone over there in the cloud. Hello, can I assist you today? Now, to make this more interesting, we can parameterize our prompt. So let's say I want to do this like this. I want to pass a name to my template, all right? And I'll say hello from Dimitris. All right, save. Sorry. Hello, Dimitris. So now ChatGPT knows my name, all right? How this works in the background, let's see. If you go back to the dev UI, from here you can configure everything, right? You can filter. So if I say OpenAI log, I can get help of the different things I can configure. So I say, okay, I want you to log requests and responses. And when I make a change here, then in my application, there is a configuration file. It's automatically persisted. Quarkus knows about it. And next time I will call my endpoint. In my logs, I see what's going on over the wire. So look what happens. Like, I call OpenAI API. Okay. I'm using GTP 3.5 Turbo by default. This is all configured. This is my prompt. Hello from Dimitris. This is a nice thing. Temperature controls the creativity of the model. So 1 is like most. And then I get back this reply. ChatGPT replied as an assistant, hello Dimitris, how can I assist you today? That's it. And you get some usage data for billing, essentially. Okay? Now, let's keep adding some capabilities to my program. So, where's my code? Here. Yeah, sorry. So if I want to add more methods, I can just do that. Oh, maybe let me show you something like this. So when you talk with those models, there is something called the system prompt. This normally sets the context. You want to talk to the model, and you want it to assume a role. So let's say we give it this role. You're a professional greeter. Greet people as if you are Troy Hawk. So Troy Hawk is a real person running a show. So Google it up. If I go back and ask ChatGPT, I'll get back something more fancy. Well, Dimitris gracing us with his presence today. Greetings, salutation, my good fellow, blah, 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 right? So it's like quite an impressive answer. And if I call again, I'll get something different. Cool? So that's the system prompt. So with this, you can figure out, like, it's super easy to get going with ChatGPT. And the cool thing is that I change extension. I can talk to something different. I can talk to Hugging Face. I can change model. I can configure everything, like just a few lines of code. Now, I wanted to add another method here. I want to ask, what's the time? What time is it? So I'll make a new method time I don't need any arguments. And to use it, let's do something quick and dirty here. So I'll do it like this. Time. I don't need that. Yep, like this. Oh, come on, yep. So if I go back to here and call this new endpoint time. So this is the reply from the model. It doesn't know time. It doesn't have a concept of time or space, which is normal, and somehow you have to help it. So one way you can help the model is by give it some extra capability with what we call like a tool. So let me show you how you do this. Let's say I add a class here. Class application scope is like I make a singleton and then local date time get. Time now. So I just created a simple class that will return the time, the local time. Now to connect it to the AI functionality, I add this magic annotation here, tool. So this says, make this method available to the discussion I have with the model. And to connect it with the service I just written here, you have to connect it like this. Greater tools. This essentially says, use any tools you find in this class. All right? That's simple. So, if I call again my model, now it knows the time. This is cool, right? So let's see how this worked exactly. So let's look at the logs. The logs always say the truth, right? So, all right. We call the model. We ask, what time is it? But since we define the tool, we pass metadata. Look, my dear model, I have also this function called getCurrentTime. It takes a format like type string and returns an object. That's all I did, right? Nothing else. So ChatGPT thinks and says, look, I don't know the time, but this guy gave me a getCurrentTime method. Probably it returns the time. So I will tell them, can you call this method for me? And so the reply under the hood is, yeah, please, can you call these methods? And also pass those arguments. It even guesses the right argument to pass for format, although I'm not using it in purpose. It uses the right, it just guessed. So it says this, and then under the hood, Quarkus will call the method. It will return the result of the method. So this is like the stringified object. So you can see it's complex. It's the current time. It also repeats all the discussion so far. So yeah, we asked what time is it, all the metadata, and then ChatGPT replies with this, right? So you can imagine I can annotate any method in my code, like let's say get booking, get customer, and ChatGPT normally will figure it out pretty well. And I didn't provide any other information. I can annotate my tool and say this method will do this. I didn't have to do this. It guessed by just looking at the name. So this is really, really powerful, right? Okay. Let me switch to another project here. So what I have here, Quarkus dev, the exact same example, but this time I'm going to use Ollama. Ollama is this little thing here running. So this can run LLMs locally on my laptop. This is a new laptop, so it's like pretty fast. So it's exactly the same service. You can see it here, you know. And if I say hello this time, now this will load the Llama 3 model. It takes some time, but look, I got a reply. Different type of reply. You can tell this is a different model. And it's quite fast as well. So again, yeah, another reply. Now with Quarkus, in this version I have also included micrometer metrics that can be exported to Prometheus, just another extension. So if I go here and say, show me metrics, you immediately see, yep, I had this method. It took 4 seconds to be executed, and I called it like 2 times. It took 8 seconds in total. So you can imagine you can export that all to your Grafana and all that. You get that for free, just include an extension. In this example, I've also included a fault tolerance extension. And in my service, I have this thing called fallback here, another annotation that says, look, you talk to the LLM, but if it fails for some reason, fall back to this little method here. All right? And to show you how this works, I have a timeout. If I drop the timeout to something like really fast, like 2 seconds, and I go back and call my endpoint, 1, 2, yep, the fallback gets activated. And again, you get all that for free. And how much time I have? Just to... All right, let's do another example. There's coffee break, so I can steal your time from coffee break. Yeah. Oh shit. Did I break this? Don't save. Yeah. This is a more complex example. I won't code it now, but this uses what we call RAG. Do you know RAG? Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's all the rage in AI, which is like I'm talking to a model, and I want to provide extra information that the model doesn't know. And normally you use a vector store where you put your data there, you do a proximity search, you find the relevant stuff, you send it along with the request. That's all it is. But it's complicated. And in Quarkus we can do that. But in Quarkus we can do also other things, more advanced. So in this example, I will implement the RAG pattern, but with a database. I have like a Postgres running. In Quarkus, you just include an extension. And the thing is so smart, it looks at it and it will spin up. Now it's just spinned up a container using Podman with the database running, configured for me. I don't have to do anything. And let me show you like quickly how this works. I have an assistant and say I can ask, let's say, can you propose a horror movie for tonight? Yep, I get the reply. Oh, you can watch Alien. It's like a good movie. How this works, though, that's the most interesting thing. Look, to do this, we contact the model 3 times. First time, we take the question and we send it to the model to compress the question, because I could have a dialogue. Hello, how are you? I feel well today. Yeah, okay, what do you want to do? I want to see a movie. What movie? Yeah, horror movie. So the question is, I want to see a horror movie. Second time, we ask the model again, look, I have my movies imported into this database, Postgres, that's the schema. Can you make a query for me to find relevant stuff? And the relevant stuff here is revealed right here. I log the query, look. It produces this query for me. From the movie database, look for horror movies. The most popular one, give me one. Like super precise query, right? And then we send again, we do the query and we send the data and we say, okay, now make a nice reply. And this is the reply I got here. Certainly I would recommend. You can do more advanced stuff. So I can say, all right, let's say, what were the top 3 action movies of the 80s? That's more complex, right? So let's see what it comes up with. Empire Strikes Back, Aliens, Indiana Jones. Cool. But let's look at the query, though. Look how precise the query is. I want action movies released from this year to this year by IMDb rating, the first 3. It's like fantastic. So you can imagine, I imagine most of you people, you have your data in some like SQL database, and you want to do, this sort of interactions. Well, here you go. It's like super easy. All right. And with that, let me go back to my slides to wrap this up. We live in a different world, post 2022. Our jobs are changing. LangChain and Quarkus, I think it's a great combination. We take the LangChain library. Actually, we work together. The guy works for me, the LangChain guys. And we have great integration. Everything it's like CDI beans. It's like every other thing you can call in Quarkus. We optimize it. Everything you can do compiles to native. You can produce a native executable. Metrics, tracing, auditing, failovers, you get all that for free. And through this nice dev mode where you can test your prompts, you can do prompt engineering. There's other things I didn't show you. You can watch what goes on over the wire when you do RAG or when you call tools. All that works very nicely. So what you can do with that, I don't know. You tell me. Those are some ideas. System, chatbots, content generation. There's a lot of capability. You can ask the model to do something and return to you like structured data. You can have objects, and we will do the conversion for you. Lots of cool ideas. Translations, very easy. And whatever you do, use your superpowers to do good. This is a superpower, so be careful with this. So that's it. I'll be around. Any question you have, glad to ask.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
We have lots of time. It's coffee break.
So I do have some experience with LangChain, and I wonder when you used the tools to get the time, is that specific to Quarks? Because so far I had the experience that I always have to specify which tool LangChain should use. And I think you didn't really specify how it would get the time, right?
I didn't specify how to get the time. We just provided metadata that says, look, ChatGPT, I have this method. That's it. And then from the prompt, it derived that I don't know the time, but they gave me the opportunity to call this method. It looks interesting, called get current time. If the method was called get customer, it wouldn't call it.
That was executed locally, or where was that?
Yeah. So
okay.
Again, we asked the model. It sent back a reply. Look, can you call this method for me? We locally call this method on my program running here. We send the reply, and then it sends back the full reply. So all the calling is happening locally in my process. It just asks me, call this method for me.
Okay, so you basically told the model to figure out how to get the time.
I didn't even tell the model. I just said, what time is it? It figured out on its own. It figured out, look, he asked me the time. I have no idea about time, but he gave me a method and it looks the right one, so can you call it?
But it knew which like runtime, because how would it then know the function name?
It's in the metadata.
Okay.
In the
Okay, then it's clear.
yeah, I can switch back to it maybe and here. When I first call, is it here? Yeah, you see. I called the model and I said, that's my prompt. And also, I provide this metadata. Actually, it's here. Yeah, I've lost it. But I provide the metadata that, oh, no, I have this tool, you see? I have a function called getCurrentTime. It takes an argument called format. That's it. Nothing else.
But that function is in your Java code, or?
Yes, in my Java code.
Okay.
Yeah, I that's it here. Oh man, doesn't help me. Where's the line?
Hello.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Command Shift.
Command Shift. Oh. Anyway, my fingers are sticky. I can't. But it's here. The function is here. Yeah.
Just scroll up.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
But you can have many functions, and any function I annotate with this thingy. We provide the metadata to the model, and it might call it. But the fact that it calls it is just fantastic, right? It's like it can read the mind of the developer. It's like we have implemented much more complex scenarios, like get customer data, change booking, blah, 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 and it calls the right thing at the right time. Yeah. There was another one.
That was already the answer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just a short follow-up question on that. Does it verify the results of these functions? Or can I inject anything in there? I mean, I can alter it at runtime?
Verify. I send whatever I want to send as a runtime, and then it does whatever it wants.
No, I mean, but I didn't see in the metadata if the result of the function was already passed. So the language model knew that this function returns some sort of time code?
It knows, it returns an object. It doesn't even know the type.
Yeah. So you only pass the method signature as metadata, so not the actual result.
The second time,
yes,
when it said get current time, this is the metadata. It replied, call these methods for me with these arguments.
Okay.
And then we reply again. The question, the original question, the request to call the method, the result of the call as an object, like a string, and then it parses that and it figures out. I didn't even say this is a local time day object. It's an object, basically. So it's really impressive how it can deal both with incoming, the arguments that it calls you and the results. So it's super impressive. Yeah. I've lost my terminal, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Other questions? There's one there.
I think we're going to wrap this up right now because it's coffee break and a short one. Okay, a last short one.
Last one.
Are those examples available somewhere?
Those examples are available in our repository. Let's say, sorry. where's my here? Quarkus, LangChain for J. GitHub samples. There are some nice samples here. The SQL chatbot is what you saw here. There's some nice ones. I wrote like a small translator as a CLI. RAG examples that use a vector store. You know, cool stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
folks.
much to Dimitris, and enjoy your coffee break. If you have any more questions, I'm sure Dimitris will be happy to answer them. And yeah, thanks.